Hello guys, welcome back to another episode Agentforce for everyone. In this episode, we are going to see how to send an email with one-time password to the customers. So whenever a customer is trying to communicate with agent, we need to make sure that the agent first verify the customer before revealing any data. So in order to perform this, we need to follow the couple of steps. First, we need a Agentforce service agent. Then we need to create two flows. The first flow is helping us to generate and send the verification code to the customer. The second flow is trying to validate the code has been entered by customer is correct or not. Then we are going to create two agent actions. Then we are going to add the verification topic, some instructions to the agents, and then the actions which we have created. Then we will need to set some output and input variables. Then we are going to test our agent. We are also going to test the agent with other platform as well, such as WhatsApp, Facebook, or maybe community. So let's get started. So before I start diving into creating an agent, Salesforce has also provided some standard actions to verify the customer and to send the email to customer. We can also use those actions, but I will create my own custom action, and the reason is, so this is the flow which Salesforce has provided. What Salesforce is trying to do, it is getting the user record. If the user record is not available based on the username provided by the customer, then they are trying to find the contact with the email, so which I don't want to do. And once they find the email, then they are trying to generate and send the verification code to the customer. My requirement is very simple. I need to get a username from the customer, and based on the username, I need to find whether I have an active user available or not. If I have an active user available in the system, then I will generate the verification code and send the verification code to the user's email address. If the user is not available or if the user is not active, then I will simply say the user is not available, please try again. So I'm going to write my flow from the scratch, and you can also follow this. So our first step is to create a Agentforce service agent. For that, I am going to set up and type agent. So as you can see, I have two agents available. One is the Agentforce default, which is for the employee, which is for the internal Salesforce users. And one I have already created Agentforce service agent. So I'm going to use this Agentforce service agent in this episode. In this agent, I have couple of topics available, such as book management, case management, currency conversion management, and escalation. Now, for example, a customer is using this agent, and let's say is going to type, could you please convert 100 GBP to INR? And then the agent replied, 100 GBP is equals to some amount. Now, I want a security here that whenever a customer asks something, the customer should provide a verification, for example, a OTP message, then only the agent should reveal the data. As you can see, this is currency conversion management topic. So I'm going to add the verification only for this topic in this episode. So to do that, our next step is to create the flow. But if you want to understand how I create this agent, how I edit this topic, currency conversion management, and how this agent is converting the amount from one currency to another currency, so I have already created a video on this agent. If you want to watch how to create currency conversion management topic, you can follow this link and then come back to this video again. Now, the next step is to create two flows. So let's jump into the flows. So I'm going to create a new flow from the scratch, which is a auto launched flow. So first I'm trying to find my user record. Object user. Now I want to make sure that the user should always be active, and username is something which we are getting it from the customer. So for that I am going to create a new resource which is username type text, and this is available for input because we are getting the value from the agent, whatever the customer is typing the username. Done. So only first record found. We only need the first record. Automatically store all fields, and I'll just close it. Once we have the user record, I will check whether the user exists or not. User exists. Yes, exist. And I will simply check is null false. So that means my user exists, and I will also change this to user not exist. So this decision element will give me whether the user exists in the system, active user exists in the system or not. If the active user does not exist, then I will simply return a message to the agent. So I need an assignment. User does not exist message, and I will create a new variable here. Let's say verification message of type text, and this variable should be marked as available for output because we need to send the message to the agent. And here I'm going to type, so I have entered the username you provided does not belong to any active user. Please try again. If the user does not exist, or if the active user does not exist. Now, if the user exists, I will use an action. So Salesforce has provided a standard action which is generate verification code. So I will simply call this action and name it as it is, generate verification code, and that's it. Once the verification code has been generated, then I need to send this code to the email. So I will use another action which is send email, send verification code, and here I'm going to enable this body, and then I'll create a resource to define my body. So I'll say text template, email body, and plain text. So my email will be, let's say dear, we can say the username. So user name, dear first name, and then it will say your one time password is, I will also say one time OTP is, and then the OTP message we will getting from outputs from generate verification code. And you can see there are two output variables coming from this action. One is the authentication key, and the another one is the 6-digit generated verification code. So we are going to use that code. Here is this. Please do not share this code with anyone. Thank you. Salesforce. So this is our simple email. Whenever a user trying to ask some question to the agent will fire this flow, and it will generate a verification code, and this verification code will be sent to the user's email. So the body is complete. Now we need to set the recipient address list where we need to send this email. So I need to send this email to my user's email account. So this is my user record dot email. That's it. And I will also set some subject, your agent OTP. That's it, a simple subject. So once we have generated the verification code, then we send the verification code. Now we need to set some output assignments. So let's say set verification code. So first we are trying to set a verification code which we are going to send back to the agent. So the agent will store this verification code to somewhere, and whenever a customer enters the verification code, the agent will match the verification code. So for that I am going to create a variable verification code of type text, and this should be available for output because we need to send this back to the agent. And this is my generated 6-digit code. Then we also need to send a authentication key. Why? Which I will tell you later. Authentication key of type text output, and which is also coming in our generated verification code and authentication key. Then I am going to use one more, which is verification message, because when we successfully generate the verification code and when we successfully send the verification code to the email, we need to set a message so that the user will notified, okay, I am expecting an email now. So for that I will use a existing message which I have already written. So I'm going to use, we have sent a one-time password to your email. Please check your inbox and enter the code to continue. If you don't see the email, be sure you check your spam or junk folder. A very generic message. So that is done. So to recall this flow, we are trying to find the user record based on the username we have provided, the customer has provided. Once the user found, then we are generating the code and we are sending the code to the user's email, and we are also setting some variables to return to the agent. If the user does not exist, then we are setting a message that the user does not belong to any active user. Now I'm going to save this flow. Send verification code. That's it. I can also provide some descriptions here, but I'll leave it as it is for now and save and active. So we have created our first flow, which is generate and send verification code. Now let's create another flow which is verify verification code. So for that I'm going to create a new flow, again a auto launch flow. So in this flow we are going to use a action which is provided by Salesforce only, which is verify customer code. So in the previous flow we have used generate verification code, which is also a standard action. Now we are going to use the verify customer code, which is also a standard action. So verify customer code. So in this action we need to provide two things. One is the authentication key and one is the customer code. So this code is entered by the customer, which they receive on their email. And if you remember, I created another variable in last flow, which is authentication key. So that is the reason we need a authentication key. So we need to store that authentication key in our agent, and then the agent will continue pass this authentication key to this flow so that this action can verify whether the code is valid or not. So for that I need a new resource, which is authentication key of type text, and this will be available for input because we are getting this value from our agent, which they have received from the previous flow. And the customer code also we need it from the user, from the customer code of type text and available for input. That's it. So, and then I'll close it. So once this action has been called, we need a decision element. So this decision element will have an action output from verification code is verified. So if the is verified comes true, that means the code has entered is correct. So let's say user customer verified, yes, and I will change this to no. So if it is true, that means the customer is verified. If the customer is verified, I need to set some message, success message, set success. So I will first set a variable which is verified, and this will be a boolean and marking as available for output, because I need to let the agent know that the is verified is true. So this is this. So why I use this, I can instead use true, because I want to make sure that the is verified is coming from the verify customer code action is the correct value. That's why I use verify customer code dot is verified, which is coming as true, and we already have a decision. I will also set a verification success message. Let's say message after verification. Yep. And text, and this is also available for output. So here, if the verification is successful, we are going to set your verification. Let me copy this. So I have said your verification was successful. You can now proceed with the next steps. That's it. Is there anything else we should set? No, we have set the verified, and we have also set some message. So we are going to do the same thing here. So for that, I am going to copy this and paste this element here, and I will change the name, set failure. Yeah, is verified is again the same thing, because this time this is verified is false if the customer didn't verified, and the message after verification, we are going to change this from this to this. So this time I have said your verification code was incorrect. Please check the code and try again. If you did not receive any verification code, you can request a new one, or we can change the text accordingly. So this is also done. So this is the flow ready, a very simple flow. We are using a verify customer code action, which is verifying the authentication key and the customer code entered by the customer. Then we are going to check whether the is verified is coming as true or false. If it is true, then we are setting the success message. If it is false, then we are setting the failure message, and then save the flow. Verify customer code. Yep. And save. Activate. Done. So this way we have created our second flow and second steps also. Now it's time to create two agent actions, one for the generate and send verification code, and another one is for the verify customer code. So to create agent actions, we need to go to the setup and type agent. We need to go Agentforce assets and to the actions tab, and then new agent action. So here I'm going to use my reference action type as flow, which gives me all the active flows in the system. So my flow is send verification code, and then here we need to set some agent instructions. So I will copy this, which I have already typed. So in this, I'm going to say this agent is sending a generated verification code to the user's email address. Show loading text for this action, I will mark it as false. I don't need it. And username. So I will say pass the username given by the customer and require input collect data from the user. So I'll say user. Pass the username given by the user. Now authentication key, I don't need to show in my conversation, so I will filter from agent action and I will say some instructions. Stores the authentication key that is used to generate the verification code. Verification code also we are not going to display in the conversation. We are going to filter from agent action and the message will be, let's say, stores the generated verification code. So this we need, whatever the verification message we are getting it from the flow, we need to show in conversation. Either we have sent a one-time password or your username is not correct or something. So for that I will simply say stores a generic message that will be displayed to the user. Generic message will be, if your username is correct, you will receive we have sent a one-time password to the email. If your username is not correct, then you will receive the user does not active or the user does not found something, and then hit finish. So we have created our first agent action. Now we are going to create a second agent action for verification code. So let's say again new agent action flow. I will choose verify customer code and next. So for that I will say some instructions which I have already copied. So in this instruction I will say verifies whether the verification code entered by the user matches the code sent to their user's email address, and I will also mark this as false. Authentication key require input, because if you remember, this is the authentication key which we have sent from our first flow to the agent. So the agent will store this somewhere until the user types the customer code. So now the agent will pass this to the second flow, which is verify. The agent will also pass the entered customer code. So this is the code which needs to be entered by the customer. So I'll say collect data from user and require input, and then we set some message which is stores the authentication key that is used to generate the verification code, and also this pass the, maybe I'll just copy to save some time. Let's say pass the customer code given by the user. So whenever a customer or user type the 6-digit OTP, they need to the agent will pass this to this action, and they will also, whatever the authentication key they have stored, they will also pass at the same time. Now in the output we receive is verified as true or false, just to identify whether the user has verified or not. So we are not going to display true or false, instead we are going to filter it from the agent action, and I will simply say the instruction to this variable is store a boolean value that indicates whether the customer code is verified or not. Message after verification, yes, we need to display this to the UI. So whatever the message comes after the verification, we are going to display, so that the instruction will be a simple instruction. Show the verification message to the user interface and then finish. So we have created our second agent action. That means we created our third step successfully. Now we need to add the topic, instructions and actions to our agent. So let's go. So for that I'm going to close this, I'm going to close this. So this is my agent and this has 4 topics. So let me first deactivate this agent. Now I want that my currency conversion management should be security, full of security. That means whenever a user is trying to convert some currency, they should first verify themselves and then they can access the currency conversion management. So for that, I already have a topic, right? So the topic is done. Now it's time to add some instructions and then actions. So instructions, I will say, so now I'm going to copy some instructions which I have already noted down, and I'll explain each and every one. So my first instruction will be, after the user is verified in a conversation session, switching to a different user is not allowed under any circumstances. That means if a user has already verified, they are not allowed to switch their user. If they switch, that means they need to verify themselves again. Then my another instruction will be, ask the customer to enter their username if it has not been provided. And these instructions, we don't need to be put in any sequence, it is fine. The next instructions will be, if the customer enters the wrong verification code, for example, if they receive something and they are trying to enter something wrong, then the verification code, if the customer entered wrong verification code 3 times, ask them to re-enter their username or email address, not email address, because we only want the username from the customer to receive a new verification code. This invoking this is my name of the action, so I need to make sure whether the name of the action is correct. So for that, I am going to agent, assets, actions, and the action which I have created for send verification code, and the name is this. I think, yeah, this is the correct name. Yeah, this is the correct name. So they will invoke this flow to generate the verification code again to initiate the verification process. This ensures that the customer cannot bypass the verification process after 3 unsuccessful attempts. That's fine. The next instruction will be, if verification is successful, show the verification message from this. If you remember, in our verify flow, we have this variable which is keeping the data whether the verification is successful or not, and proceed with the requested action and complete the task the user intend to perform, which is fine. Then I am going to use another instruction which is, never process any request for accessing or updating any sensitive data without invoking this function if the customer is not verified yet. Maintain security in all interactions. Then we also need to make sure that the agent never reveal the verification code, email address, or username to the customer during the authentication process. Make sure that these details remain confidential and are not displayed at any point, which is makes sense. Then the next instruction will be, use the flow send verification code. That means use the agent action to initiate the verification process. Use the username provided by the customer as input. So this username is the variable which I have created in my flow, so I just want to make sure that I provide the valid username here also. And for the currency, we already have a instruction. When a user requests a currency conversion, ask for the amount, the source currency, and the target currency. So I think we are good with the instructions. You can find all those instructions in here because I am using all the instructions here. So if you follow this link and if you go to the flow which Salesforce has created, and if you go to the, one second, I'll show you. So let me save this. Yeah, so you can find all those instructions in add from asset library. So if you use the customer verification, it has all the instructions by default. So I'm using those instructions with some modifications. You can use this standard topic as well, but my motive is to create everything custom from the scratch. That's why I just copy each and everything. So our instructions are done now. Now it's time to add the actions which we have created. So for the actions, I will go to the topics actions. I already have an action which is converting the currency from one currency to another, and then I will add 2 more instructions, which is, so we created Okay, I'm not able to see my new actions here because I think I need to first refresh this agent. So let me refresh, and then I will deactivate again. Going to the currency, I have all the instructions and topics and add from asset. So this time hopefully, yeah, so we have our first action, which is sending and generating the verification code, and then the second, which is verifying the verification code from the customer, and finished and done. So if I come here, I feel if I activate and if I refresh again, just wanted to make sure that the actions are added successfully, because sometimes it doesn't aid. Yeah, so I have this action. So this means we have completed our fourth step, which is adding the topic, instructions and actions. Now we need to set some output and input variables, meaning we need to go our first action, send verification code, which has some input and output variables, right? So I will deactivate this again. So yes, this username is coming from the user, so I will not assign any variable because the user needs to provide the username manually. This authentication key, I am going to use the authentication key variable. If you don't find this variable, you can just simply click new and then it will create it for you. So I'm going to use authentication key just to map my variable. Verification code I will not map, which is not required. Verification message I will also not map. So I will just only map the authentication key because we need to store this and pass to the next action. Done. Then we are going back and opening our second action. So in this I will map the authentication key again. So that means the authentication keys value will always stored and will always pass to the from one action to another. Customer code I will not map because this is something user needs to provide manually. Then is verified I will map as is verified, and message after verification I will leave it as it is because we need to display to the UI. So that's it, and then I will activate this, and that means we have set our output and input variables. Now it's time to test the agent. So let's say if it is working or not. Yeah, so I will simply ask to this agent, could you please convert 100 GBP to INR? And now it says please provide your username so I can send you a verification code. So now this agent, as soon as they receive the question, they picks the topic. So the topic is currency conversion management, and now based on the instructions it is asking the username first instead of converting the amount to a target currency. So now let's provide the username. So I'll go to the users and find my Einstein service agent user, and I'll just copy the username and paste here as it is. Okay, so now it says we have sent a one-time password to your email, please check your inbox and enter the code. So this is the message which we have set in our flow, and if you can see in the middle panel, we pass this username to the flow. The flow then gives us three output parameters. Number one is the authentication key. The second is the verification message which we have set at the time when the user successfully found and the OTP has been sent to the customer, and also the verification code. Now let's look at if we actually receive this OTP in our email. So this verification code is something the agent will keep to themselves, and as well as the authentication key. So now whenever the user enter a OTP here, it will pass the customer code to the another flow with verification code and authentication key. Then the verify customer code action will validate whether the customer code has been entered is correct or not. So let's first look at the email whether we actually got this OTP or not. So if you can see, I got this OTP in my spam folder for somehow, maybe because I have not used any sender email address and or white addresses. So if we use that address, then maybe we will receive those emails in our inbox folder. Also, this is very simple email. We can beautify this email with the email template, but that's not the purpose of today's episode. So that's why. So if you look at the OTP, it says 309436. And if we go back to our builder, it is also says 309436. So now if I enter this OTP, so let's say if I incorrect this OTP to some other digit, so it says your verification code was incorrect. Please check the code and try again. If you did not receive a verification code, you can request a new one. So now let's say this time I will enter a correct OTP. So now it says your verification was successful. You can now proceed with the next steps. Because we ask this amount to convert to a different currency, so it is asking again, please provide the amount, source currency and target currency for the conversion. So I will just copy the same message and enter here, and you can see the agent successfully gives us the conversion amount after successful verification to the customer. So this is how we can implement this OTP mechanism to make sure we verify the customer first before revealing any sensitive data to the customer. So this is how we test our agent in the agent builder. Now it's time to test this with other platform as well. So now we are going to test this in WhatsApp because I have already deployed this agent to my WhatsApp channel. If you know how to deploy this agent to the WhatsApp channel, you can follow this link and then you can see how I have done step by step deploying this Agentforce service agent to the WhatsApp. So I'm going to connect my WhatsApp now. So this is the service agent I have deployed to the WhatsApp in my one of the previous episodes, where a user can directly talk to the agent from their WhatsApp account. So now I will simply say hello to this service agent. So now it says to start receiving messages, please reply start. So this is all the starting messages which we have configured in our messaging channel in the previous episode. So when you are going to watch that episode, you will understand what are those messages and how you can customize those messages. So I will simply say start. Yes, I would like to start receiving messages. And then it will confirm again. To confirm, please reply confirm. So let's say confirm. Thanks for opting in. And now we got the message from our agent. So this is the message we are getting from our agent. Hi, I'm an AI service assistant. How can I help you? So this is the message we actually got it from our agent. All the above messages we are getting from the messaging channel. So now our agent has joined this conversation. I will simply say, could you please convert, let's say 55 USD to GBP. This time let's say some different figures. So now it says please provide your username so I can send you a verification code, which is good. So I have copied already my username, and now we are expecting a message to successfully send. Yes, so we have sent a one time to your email, please check your inbox. So let's say I got the email now, which is 489038. 489038. So I'll say 489038. So as soon as you entered the OTP, your verification was successful, and this time we even didn't have to ask the question again because the agent itself stores our request in the beginning. Could you please convert 55 USD to GBP? And now it has given us the answer appropriately after the verification. So this is how we have test our, let me go back to my main screen. So this is how we have test our agent with the other platform also. So that's all for today's video. I hope you really like it. In the next video, we are going to cover some other topics. But yeah, thanks for watching.